What do you say, everybody? Welcome to Elephant in the Room. And look, we're going to talk about the 8A game, or maybe the lack of an 8A game. After all those great scrimmages over the years, dogs and steak, right? Or beans and steak. What are they going to do now? Everybody just going to get steak? We're going to talk about changes there. Big win for basketball. And we're closing in on the start of practice. So spring practice is coming. All that, we'll talk about it with Jake Coker on Elephant in the Room. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Brought to you by mybookie.ag. Let me play Jake's open. What do you say, everybody? With Jake Coker, I'm Mick Gillispie. Great to see you on Cover Crimson, and check us out on covercrimson.com. All right, let me get right into it, Jake. I know you probably have a lot to say here, but they are changing the format of the 8A game. First, though, before I talk about the new format, you played in the 8A game. What is it? It's beans and steak, right? You get beans if you lose, and you get steak if you win.
Steak and beanie weenies, of course. I wouldn't know what the loser eats. I never ate the loser's meal. So I like my steak medium.
How much competition was there in the 8A game to get that steak? And how good was the steak? I mean, it was legitimate steak?
Yeah, no, it was a legitimate ribeye. I mean, it was good stuff. Meant a lot. I mean, you know, with that crew, anytime you were going out there to play, it really didn't matter what the meal was, honestly. I mean, after you get out there for a few plays, people, I mean, you know, you hate the defense hates you, and you just want to beat the hell out of them. And, you know, the meal was just I guess the cherry on top, but there's enough competitive nature out there. It really didn't matter, to be honest with you. But the best part about it was, you know, the steak eaters, the winners were on one side of the cafeteria, and then the beanie weenies were on the opposite side. And just the amount of shit talk that went back and forth between both sides of the cafeteria was always the best part.
I think it's funny. I think it's funny that you were 2-0 for steaks.
Well, I was 1-0. Cool. I played in one.
1-0. Yeah. Oh, you didn't play in the other one, huh?
No, I got there. Remember, I got there in the summertime, going into my junior year.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well, 1-0 is pretty good. All right. Well, Keelon DeBoer is saying that they're doing a modified spring game. Basically, you know, it's on April the 12th, and it isn't going to be a regular scrimmage. You know, a lot of teams are dumping the spring game. Nebraska, USC, NC State, Texas, you know, a lot of these schools are doing it for different reasons, but a lot of people feel like it's that they're just trying to protect their rosters. Your old school Florida State and Missouri aren't doing it because of stadium renovations. BYU and Minnesota didn't have one last year. And Arizona and Iowa and Ohio State and Ole Miss are doing different stuff too. So everybody's kind of getting away from, you know, the spring game that we're used to
from every tradition that we've ever known in college football.
I know, I can't stand it, man. Like what's wrong with a spring game, man? Like crimson versus white. I mean, come on, man.
It's just kind of that exciting time of year when you get a little bit of football that, I mean, it's meaningless, but it's still, you know, the pageantry and everything else that goes along with it. It was just you know, I mean, what other sport do you get to see your team play when it's the complete opposite time of year to watch them, you know? And
right.
It's kind of a party. You get to hang out. I mean, you know, it's just, I don't know. There's just a lot more that goes into it with the spring game than just a practice. It brings kind of a different focus of, you know, and more attention for the fan base. So I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed the spring game. Spring practice was, I mean, it was always a good time getting out there and practicing just a different time of year and not having I mean, it's always better with the games, but the spring game kind of gave you something to look forward to. I don't know. I think they ought to just set a time limit for how long they're going to be on the field and just run 2 minutes the entire time. I think that'd be pretty cool. Just fast pace.
Right.
I think that's kind of what we're going to be. You run your base offense for the most part. I mean, you're not throwing a bunch of tags in there or running a whole lot of dynamic stuff on offense with that kind of time constraint. So
Right.
might as well just run 2 minute offense. You get the most reps possible. You get to see all the young guys in that kind of situation. You're not really, like I said, it's not too complex. You get to see how these guys react in situations where basically they don't have enough time to think. They're just out there playing football. So I think it'd be exciting for the fans. For the quarterbacks, it'd be awesome. You get to throw the ball every time. So that'd be my ideal spring game, just 2 minutes the entire time.
Well, they're worried that guys are going to play in the spring game, do really well, and then somebody's going to get them to go in the transfer portal, I guess, and I hate that we've gotten to that point. The other thing is injuries. I mean, did you see a lot of guys get hurt in the spring game?
I mean, no, not that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean,
you could get hurt in practice.
I was about to say you're going to practice anyway. It's not like, and guys to mostly protect themselves in the spring game. I mean, you're not taking cheap shots and taking guys' legs out when they're not really looking. I mean, guys know when a guy's in a compromised position, and for the most part, you protect yourself or protect your teammates. I don't know. In practice, you can't. Sometimes you just go through the motions, and not from the aspect of just trying hard or sometimes you just get caught in those situations where it's just rep after rep, and there's no real attention paid to exactly what we're trying to do here. It's a play gets called in, you run it, and it's not a game type situation where it's okay. It's 3rd and 6. Here's what we're doing. It's what you should be thinking, but a lot of times you just get in that mode where all right, next play we run it, next play we run it, next play we run it, instead of all right, it's again 3rd and 8, third quarter. Here's what we've been seeing. Here's what we're going to do. This is what we need. You got the feel of the game around you. You got kind of a rhythm going. Just that game-like scenario changes, and you get to see how players react in certain situations. Again, guys, there's a lot of guys that look great in practice. Then you get them out on the field, or they look bad in practice. And you get them out on the field in a game-like situation, and you're like, man, who's this guy? Just a completely different player when you got fans in the stands and you're playing situational football.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Elephant in the Room. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use the promo code NEXTROUND to double your initial deposit. And with March Madness coming, now's the time to swing over there and start thinking about that tournament. We'll talk a little Bama basketball. They took care of business big time last night.
I want to ask you something. I saw a story pop up today, and maybe I missed this. Maybe we've talked about this before, but what are the ramifications? I saw where Drake Kirkpatrick's son is going through some legal stuff because some fan at Oklahoma stormed the field and there's an altercation out there. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. But there's a problem with the field storming. I mean, and it's unsafe for the players.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what happened, but man, I wouldn't want to be in that situation.
Yeah, I glanced through I didn't read the whole story. I just glanced through it. But apparently Drake Kirkpatrick is getting sued for hitting a fan or something. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough details to really talk about it. But at the same time, I'm sitting here thinking, it does put players in a compromised position, which I think storming the field's for some schools, I don't want to see Alabama do it, but for some schools, it's pretty cool. It's part of the college experience. But man, once you storm the field, you've kind of taken your own. You know, you just got to realize anything can happen out there. I mean, I've been a part of one field storming before at Ole Miss, and I mean, you can imagine the fans that are storming the field. They've had a lot of fun throughout the day. They're saying whatever they want to say. They're making contact with players. It's like it's a hectic situation, and if you're going to storm the field, you gotta kind of take accountability for whatever happens to you out there. You know,
I'm with you on that. What was it like for you, though? Yeah, how did you get off the field?
How did I get off the field?
Yeah,
in all seriousness, and I saw number 2, Derrick Henry, and I got behind him and we ran to the tunnel. I knew he was breaking out that stiff arm if need be.
That sounds like a pretty good plan.
I was about to say, I figured if there's anybody to go back to back with and into the locker room, it was number 2.
Golly,
but it was,
man,
it was. I mean, people, storming the field. You hear, guys saying stuff. Just. I don't know if I'd say trying to provoke you, but in any other scenario, people getting that close to you, that talking to you, the way they talk to you, I mean, you're like, all right, what are we going to do here? And all you're trying to do is get to the locker room, and you really don't know what these drunk dudes are going to do in that situation. What they're saying, their body language, they're kind of running at you. It's like, you're just ready for whatever happens.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. When you engage with players coming onto the field, again, you got to think the players just trying to get to the locker room. Don't want to talk to anybody. Don't want to mess with anybody.
Yeah.
And if you had a few too many beers, provoking people. I mean, I'm not saying in any way is it right to hit anybody, but you're also thinking, what can this situation turn into? And so, you do your best to get to the locker room. I've never had an altercation with a fan before, but I can see where if you get caught up in a situation where you're surrounded by people that are just all over you and you don't really know what to expect, something could happen. It's just not a good situation. But
no, no, and they need to protect the players a little more. If we go 9-4 again, though, we're not going to have to worry about it. So we better start winning some games because it's kind of not. It shows like right now we're at that spot where you didn't lose a lot of games. 4 losses this year was a lot. For this program, and
that's the first time since 06? First time in almost 20 years.
Yeah. So but it's been with Saban. If Saban ever lost, it was a look out, man.
Oh yeah.
What was funny? I'll tell you what was funny though. They thought they were going to be running out on the field in the Gravedigger game, the Iron Bowl. Watching.
They're all excited.
Oh yeah. I don't know what's ever going to, we may not win an Iron Bowl forever. We may keep win and go back and forth, but they're never going to be as good as that. Where you're down and it's like impossible. And then the dude throws a touchdown and everybody, they go from like getting ready to like, they're going to get right down and run to start crying.
You see the tears welling up.
That's still, that to me is still one of the most unbelievable plays ever.
I still remember just I'm watching it in not a crowded room, but with a good bit of people that I all know, family, in-laws, all that, and extended family. And it was like a pause when he caught it because, you're like, everybody could just waited to make sure that what they saw really just happened. And then all of a sudden it's just mayhem, people, pushing each other, just celebrating. It was, it sucked that we were, a favorite and we should have beaten them, by more. But at the same time, watching Auburn squirm like that, I mean, and two in a row really in Jordan Hare, because the prior time before that, it was Bryce Young taking them down the field with a minute and a half or whatever it was, and then overtime, ultimately scoring and winning. And then you got the Gravedigger right after that. I mean, just an absolute just nightmare for Auburn fans. Just
No,
keep,
I know.
just it's like that, it's dangling that carrot and just snatching it out of the way and slapping them back to where they belong.
Yeah, get back there. that was going to be, they were over there like counting their chickens before they hatched. They were like, this isn't going to be that bad of a season. We're going to beat Alabama, get into a bowl game, we'll win that, and then and one throw from Milroe. Then they lost that, and then they got their butts kicked by Maryland in the bowl game. They didn't even make a bowl game last year.
I think had they already started rolling Toomer's corner before the game was over?
I think they might have. They're a basketball school now.
Oh yeah. Well, and then last year, they lose the first round against Furman. We go to the Final Four. We go to the Final Four after having a rough regular season in Nate Oates' terms.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and I guess we can pivot and talk a little bit of hoops. I know you're a big hoopster. Mississippi State.
21, 22 threes last night?
It was raining. It was raining. Big win for Alabama. Now you really had to get this one. Because now you got to go to Knoxville and play Tennessee. They're ranked 5th. Then you got to play Florida, who was down 26 and actually came back to get the lead but lost at Georgia. Yeah. But they were ranked like 3rd, right? And then you get to play number 1 Auburn. So I mean, and that's on down there. So there you go, man. This is a tough schedule. But what do you think about Sears playing the 2?
Well, it obviously works. I think they said last night that when Mark Sears has 7 assists, Nate Oates bats 1,000 in terms of win percentage. Yeah, man, I like it. If you could get, of course, I know it all depends on who we're playing, and Nate Oates is the master of matchups and numbers. But man, you get 3 shooters out there that can really. You get 3 guys out there that are just slinging it up there, and it's we're shooting 40-50%. I don't know how you beat that team, but at the same time, I love games like that, but I almost like seeing games where we're so dominant defensively and we're dominant rebounding the ball offensively and defensively, that we win games while shooting poorly.
Right.
Because I think that's when you find out if we're a tournament team or not. I mean, we hit that many threes, then good luck. Nobody's going to beat us. But I love seeing those games where we shoot really poorly, but we play, again, all other facets of the game are so strong that we make up for our bad shooting. Now, I say that. I wish every game we shot great and won by 35 points. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But those bad games give me a lot more comfort. Bad shooting game wins give me a lot more comfort for tournament play. Like they said last night. Only way you get through the tournament is playing really good defense.
Yeah, you got to play defense. Well, when you can score 111, and you give up 73, and there was one point where Bama was blowing these dudes out, but you're not going to get 7 threes from Chris Youngblood every game. No. He was 7 of 11, man. He made all of his free throws.
To me, he's one of the biggest. He's going to be one of the biggest difference makers this year. He's one of the best. I don't know, acquisitions we made. I love the way he plays, man. Tough, hard, shoots well. If there's I honestly, between him and Mark Sears, Holloway, I mean, we need a game-winning 3 on the line. Holloway and Sears, I don't know what Youngblood's percentage is on the season, but man, I just feel like what he's got up here, he's better off. I mean, I bet his percentage in the clutch is higher than it is just in the first half of the game.
Wow, yeah. It was quite a win for Alabama, and I don't think that look, even in the standings right now, they're a long shot to win the SEC. At 12-3, just because the way Auburn's playing, I don't know that they're going to lose 2 games, but not anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
But I don't even think, like, not to take anything away from winning the SEC, and Bama's a game and a half back, so they're still in second. Auburn's 13-1, Bama's 12-3. But this team to me has been more focused on winning the national championship. And I love that Nate Oates kind of stepped in and said, "Hey man, zero tolerance. You get out there and you don't play well, you're out. You get out there, you make mental mistakes, you're out. You get out there, you're not rebounding, you're out.
Yeah.
And when you have a team that has this much talent, you can pull that off. There's a lot of teams you're on that, like, hey, if they take your best players out, they're not going to be any good. But this team's just got so many good players, man.
Yeah.
I love that mentality. I mean, we'll find out. Playing in Knoxville, you get humbled fast. Playing like they're playing the 3 best teams to finish the season. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, to have the kind of guards we have, I mean, I want to say early in Nate Oates' career at Alabama, we were all shooters, no real big man presence, and now we've got, not only do we have the guards and shooters, but we've got, Aiden Sherrill, we got Cliff, we got Grant Nelson, we got Mo. I mean, we got 4 big men that can really dominate, and you got Diabate down there. He hit a few threes last night. He's athletic, he's physical, he can guard anybody. I mean, it's just a complete and total package. It's what you got to have to go deep in the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Well, spring practice starts next week. We're going to do a lot of talk about that, obviously, and we're pretty excited about it. But the one question I have for you, and I'm just curious, what are the coaches looking for with quarterback play? When you have an open spot like this, like what's practice like? Like, how are they evaluating you guys? Like, what's all of that? Like, how do you separate yourself from the other guys that are competing when you have basically very limited game action to go from?
Well, I think when you're looking at quarterbacks that haven't played much, I mean, a lot of the growth and development that happens with quarterbacks is away from the practice field. I mean, obviously that's a key part, but you got to have somebody. I think you got to have guys that are very good at developing themselves away from coaches. I mean, they put the time in. They devote themselves to being better players. That have they grown? Do they understand? What gives us the best chance to gain yards, first downs, touchdowns? Can they make those adjustments? Have they grown in the off season, even between the end of the season and spring? And then at the same time, how are the players responding to each quarterback? I mean, and you can tell on the field. I mean, if a quarterback's got it together, has he gained respect from his teammates? Do they believe in him? I mean, I think really the biggest thing is seeing how the unit does when that quarterback's in the game or in practice. Are players organized? Are the calls and checks, are they organized? Are they communicated effectively? And how is the quarterback communicating with his players between plays and after screw ups? I mean, are they getting together? Are they talking it through? And how is that rep run later in practice or later in the week? Is it cleaned up? Is it you still having the same issue that you were when you first ran it? I mean, are these guys getting better And is it due to me having to coach them nonstop, or are they growing as a unit, within themselves? To me, I think that's one of the biggest key indicators. And all right, can this guy lead the team and get us as far as we can potentially go? Obviously the throwing, the talent, all that is a factor. Alabama under Coach Saban, I felt like, talent was the least of the worry. I mean, you had the players. The players were good enough to take you to a national championship. But is their mentality, their mindset, I guess the abstract talent, is that which one is the best at getting this unit ready to play the quickest and the most organized?
Well, that's the battle that everybody's going to be keeping an eye on, and there's a bunch of other ones we can get into too. We'll kind of dip into that next show.
I mean, I see, when you see veteran quarterbacks or guys like Ty. Ty's been there forever. I say forever. He's been there, and this will be his fourth year. Going into his fourth year, he should have a really good understanding of what his teammates are capable of. He should be able to communicate very well with that offensive line, with the receivers they have now. Obviously, there's more moving parts than there were back when I was playing. You got new faces every year. But Ty, to this point, he's been with Keelon DeBoer for a year. He understands the culture he's trying to instill in that program. So onboarding new faces, Ty will be probably far more effective than anybody there in terms of getting his teammates on the right page. Now, we're going to find out if Keelon Russell, does he have enough talent to overcome what Ty's built with his time in Tuscaloosa? I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. Can his talent make up for the lack of experience? And, you got to find out how mature he is, how quickly he's going to turn the page on his high school career. What are you smiling at over there?
I just want to know what your advice to these guys is. Give them some Jake Coker advice.
I mean, honestly, if I'm going through a quarterback battle, the best I ever was at compartmentalizing a quarterback battle was at Florida State, and I just locked in on how could I be the best I could be and make my teammates around me the best they could be, and absolutely tune out everything else. And when Jameis is in there, you pull for Jameis. We're on the same team, man. So let's together make this team as good as we can possibly make it. And at the end of the day, coach is boss, and he makes the decision. I mean, it's like any other job anywhere else. I mean, you can complain, you can think you're better, you can think whatever you want to think, but at the end of the day, that shit doesn't matter, because the boss makes the decision, and you make the most of your situation. You can make it shitty every day by showing up with a bad attitude, or you can show up and try to make people better around you and make your life a lot happier. And that's
really interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
great advice.
Yeah, you can't worry about the result at the end of the day. I mean, Coach Saban says it all the time, but I don't know. I've learned it through experiences, because I've had a bad attitude at times, and I've realized that being happy is all about the mindset. You got to make the best of it, no matter what the situation is.
Well said, my friend. Hey, guys, thanks for hanging out with us on Elephant in the Room. CoverCrimson.com right now. Sign up for $25 off the annual subscription. Some of you guys are joining us on there. We appreciate it. I try to get on that message board, complain about the 8A game on there. I wonder what your guys' take is on that. Clint's breaking down the roster. We'll have anything going on in the transfer portal and all of that kind of stuff. Position battles. We'll be covering all that. CoverCrimson.com. And we're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code NEXTROUND to double your initial deposit. But like, subscribe, thumbs up. I know it's a lot of stuff here at the end of the video, but you're Alabama fans. You got it. Auburn fans, probably a lot. I probably lost you when I said
Gravedigger.
Yeah. Great way to end the show. Great way to end the show. Roll Tide, man.